sorry, so they would also like to go to Disneyland. But if Disneyland is promoted as a destination itself, then you might go to Paris, land in Paris in Charles de Gaulle's, but eventually go for a holiday or vacation to only Disneyland Paris, and that then tends to become something called destination. So let's look at this concept of technology, learning outcome 3 in particular, and understand the importance in the industry in terms of travel and tourism. So I'm going to send you this presentation and also another one that will go through a few slides, and they will then directly relate to your learning outcome 3 that we are covering today. Now, here the main concepts of looking at is that how technology helps today providers to market their destination. Okay, and that is happening more and more through the use of mobile phones, social media, internet, and the concept that they are looking at furthering with that is the concept of marketing. So let's look at very briefly, this is interrelated to your first unit which you did, strategic marketing, but now we are looking at marketing specifically from a point of view of technology. So we know basics, very basic things like, what is marketing? So it's a process wherein you're responsible, for identifying, anticipating, and, satisfying customers' need. But the main objective from a business standpoint of view is that you want to satisfy or meet the requirement, demand and supply, but also make profits, for the company in the long run. The other thing that we look at is, the difference. What is the difference between sales and marketing? Do you know what is the difference between sales and marketing?
Yes, marketing is like advertise to like to customer. It just like kind of explain to the customer about the product,
All right. Okay. So basically, yes, you're correct partly, but I think the simple difference between sales and marketing is that, you basically, if a company is looking at bringing out a new product or a service to the market, what they tend to do is they tend to do a lot of planning. That planning is centered around identifying the goals and the aims and objectives of why that product is being launched, which market it is being launched in, and then what will be the target audience and how will that product fare with the competition. So it basically looks at all the aspects of a product and a service from a standpoint of view of customer. But in the case of sales, once the product is available, in the case of sales is defined as an activity in which basically once the product or service is available in the market, then sales as a process tries to maximize its market share or its the sellability to the customer. Marketing is about understanding. It's a concept wherein you try and understand the needs and demands of the customer. Sales is a process in which you basically look at meeting those needs by pitching those marketing features for customers' demands in terms of that product or service. So that's the essential difference. So when we look at marketing, we are looking at basically the ethos of how the product is going to be created, launched, promoted, and then when it goes to market, you look at the process of selling it in the market. That means making it available to the consumer. So marketing looks at basically the process of planning and execution as well. You look at deciding on the price, how will that be promoted, where it will be distributed, and what are the basic factors that it will encounter in terms of competition, and how does it meet the organizational requirement of making a profit. How much profit can the iPhone make for Apple, for example. So in the case of tourism, when a hotel is say for example the owners of Hilton or Intercontinental Group of chain of hotels decide to open a new hotel in a particular location, what they look at is a lot of market research, look at the studying the past trends and the data available in that market in terms of how many customers come in, what kind of businesses come in, what kind of requirements from a point of view of the tourism and travel are there, and does it have connectivity in terms of the airport. So all these things are looked at from a point of view of before the decision is made. And then once the decision is made, the sales teams, the business development team, the account teams, or this process comes into action wherein they know they have a property, they know they have these many rooms, and then they start to put together packages or promotions with the help of marketing, the marketing, and then try and promote it to the customer. So this particular concept now, if you understand that the traditional marketing medium was print advertising and TV advertising, but with the advent of internet, with the advent of technology now, people having emails, access to social media, and access to say for example data available on the phone, this is now all transformed, wherein there is an additional P which has been added, and the promotional P which is now being focused on by a lot of companies in the travel and tourism industry is that they're making use of the internet and this technology in telecoms in particular to try and promote their products and services using this medium. Now, we know what is marketing mix. So marketing mix is a combination of 4 Ps, which was the traditional 4 Ps, but now the concept is now extended to 7 Ps, and the additional 3 Ps which have been added, include people, physical evidence, and process. In some cases, people also talk about, packaging. This is now, obviously, this particular marketing mix we are looking at in this particular unit. How is it implemented using technology within the travel and tourism industry? Okay. Now, when we look at products, our traditional understanding of product is that these are basic building blocks what the customers ask for. So, for example, if you have a washing machine, that's a product. If you have, say, for example, a mobile phone, that's a product. So product is nothing but a tangible, mix of attributes which the customer looks at buying, and they, at the end of it, give them some, satisfy some of their needs. So if you look at the travel and tourism industry, we look at hotels, for example, we look at resorts, for example, we look at cruises, for example. Now, this is a product. And this particular product, when you book a holiday or when you book a, say, for example, a seminar in a particular hotel, and you're doing a business conference in a hotel, you're looking at the hotel in general as a product. The room, the conference hall, the cruise, then becomes a part of, basically becomes a product within this context of the industry. Is that okay? Similarly, when we look at people, now there are lots of ways wherein the companies look at, now promoting their products. But at the end of the day, who buys their product? People buy their product. People buy their products and services. So if you have a hotel, if you're an owner, imagine you're an owner of a hotel which has 50 beds. Who are you going to promote your services to? Who are you going to sell your services or products to? It is going to be customers. And customers are nothing but people. Now, in the context of internet, when we look at, or when we look at, say, for example, from a context of people can be internal to the organization, they can be external to the employment organization. So internal could be employees, internal could be suppliers, internal could be partners. External people could be, in most cases, they are suppliers, they are distributors, they are, your alliances that you form, and they then become a part and parcel of your organization, and they offer an integrated service. So let's look at an example of people from an external perspective first. So people from an external perspective would be that you're trying to book a destination, say for holiday, and you're going to Bahamas, for example, right? Now, the hotel there would probably look at, you'll book a hotel, but in order to reach that, what the hotel will also then try and do is that they will provide you some integrated services, things like a taxi or a pickup service from your airport. They might also, if it's a big chain of hotels, they might sometimes do a full package. That means that includes flights, pickups and transfers, and they also include stay. Right? So when you look at external in terms of marketing, is that a lot of airline companies like Ryanair and EasyJet, what they tend to then do is when you try and book a flight, they give you the option of first, when you come to their website, to try and book a flight. But after that, when you book the flight, they'll give you a prompt to say, do you want a hotel in that location? Then they'll give you a prompt to say, do you want to rent a car in that particular destination? And then they try and sell you the associated services, but they are not directly owning or providing those services. So that concept, from a point of view of reaching out to their customers or people, but trying to give an integrated package of products and services, constitutes internal service, which is their flight, and the external service which could be car, which could be the hotel stay, and it could be the pickup and transfers from a point of view of that destination. So in that context, when you look at the online travel agencies or tour operators which have sprung up, they are able to provide this integrated environment which consists of both internal and external services to its customers, which is nothing but classified as one of the marketing mix, which is people. Is that okay? So just to go through a few definitions here. For example, internal marketing programs look at adopting and are consisting of service culture. That means developing a marketing approach to HRM or dissemination of marketing information to employees. And this then, because they're internally done, kind of look at people from an internal marketing perspective. This is a definition by Kotler, which is the third definition. And if I look at another destination, is the people element include all human actors, internal audience who play a part in service delivery and thus influence the buyer perception. So when you try and book a hotel, in particular, on the internet or on the website, what you're trying to do is you're trying to book a destination or a hotel directly, but at some stage when you get stuck, or for example, you have some questions that you want to ask, you end up calling the customer services center. And that call, which initiates to the customer services center, is you're actually trying to speak to somebody internal in the company to get hold of more information or clear your doubt or suspicion before you book that service. Isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So sometimes a simple example is that I'm ordering food, from a restaurant, but I can use the app on the phone to order the food. But say, for example, when I use something like, Hungry or something like Deliveroo or something like that, what I tend to do is I end up calling the restaurant directly to find out if this is available with this or this is available with this, if you have a vegetarian option in this. And then you're looking at speaking to somebody within the organization to clear that confusion before you place the order. Now, when it comes to, the other piece, for example, place. Now, place today is also being marketed, heavily using the internet medium. So in most cases, when you go to some of the sites, let's look at a travel site like Travago, right? Now, place means if I am booking a hotel, what I want to be able to do is through the medium of internet and technology, most hotels are now able to give you the virtual display of the hotel rooms. Have you seen that?
Yes, I see.
So what tends to happen is when we look at implementing, what I'm trying to explain here is when we try and implement and understand the concept of the marketing mix, but look at technology. So what has made it possible is, if you look at maybe a few years back, most of the hotel chains, if I go to say, for example, Hilton, most of the hotel chains, did not have, for example, they used to promote their hotels through the use of brochures and, catalogs and things like that. Correct? Now, today, what tends to happen is that if you're trying to book a hotel, because of the use of internet and, the technology available, a lot of hotel operators have actually created virtual tours of their hotel. Right? So that way, before I book the hotel as a customer, I'm able to see the room, as I can show you on this particular screen. And in some cases, I can see the facilities. Now, this is a picture only, but in some cases, you will have what is called the 360-degree virtual tour of the room or the place that you're trying to book. And then, as you see here, it says see inside. So when I click on see inside, you will probably get a 360-degree virtual view. Can you see this?
Yes, I can see it.
So this is made possible through the use of technology. And that is where what the tourism industry is trying to do is, even before you physically book the place or book a room is nothing but a physical place, isn't it?
Yeah.
You are able to actually go in the site and actually see how the room or the hotel looks like. And that is what has been made possible with the use of technology.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now coming to the next P, which is the promotional mix. When we look at promotion is nothing but one of the P's in the marketing mix, which allows you to advertise, promote, and make or create awareness of your products and services to targeted customers. Now,
Mhm.
if you look at this, as of now, I'm trying to look at booking a hotel. But if I go to Trivago, for example, one of the sites, which is a hotel booking site.
Uh-huh.
Now, Google today is able to index, for example, if I look at, say, for example, Spain,
Uh-huh.
Google is able to index and record information that what you have been browsing, for in terms of services over the last few days. And then what it tries to do is tries to give you information related or in and around that particular, service that you're trying to buy.
Mhm.
So if you look at sites like Trivago, what has happened is this particular business was not viable maybe 5 years back. When you look at Money Supermarket as a business, was not viable 5 to 10 years back because they did not have sufficient data or the technology available to be able to map all the destinations or all the providers of the hotel and then make that available onto one particular website. So Trivago allows you to look at maybe, I think, in excess of 5,000 hotels on one site by choosing a city and looking at the best deal that you want to get for stay in that location. Now,
Mhm.
this is possible because of technology, and a site or a business like this is able to promote so many hotels, so many destinations on a single place at a single time, depending on the customer's requirement and suitability, because of the availability of internet in particular and technology, which is now being utilized within the travel and tourism industry.
Mhm.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
if I look at some of the promotional methods, the old traditional promotional methods were promotions, how they were done. Could you think of some of the methods which companies used to promote their products in the
Mhm.
olden days, maybe say 5, 7, 10 years back?
Yep.
You still look at things like your flyers. You still look at things like your some of the companies do radio jingles or advertising. They look at newspapers, but a very important part of the promotional mix today for most big businesses or even small businesses is how do they, including the online promotions, which is happening through social media, Twitter,
Yeah.
Facebook, or website marketing, Google AdWords, to be included in the overall promotional package.
Mhm.
So traditionally, if I look at the promotional methods, these are traditional promotional methods that I see. So they were looking at personal selling. So, for example, you look at Thomas Cook. Thomas Cook has offices in a lot of cities, and you can walk into one of the offices to basically have a discussion with the customer services operator and then book a hotel. They were
Mhm.
looking at telemarketing, direct mails, sometimes trade fair and exhibitions. But in terms of this, the vital thing which has now been added to this particular promotional mix is the use of internet or internet marketing in particular, which allows you to reach far greater audience than which was possible through traditional promotional methods.
Okay.
So an example here would be a point to think about is that if you have a hotel in London and you want to market that hotel to outside people, to customers outside London or outside UK, how would you
Okay.
market? How would you transform boundaries and market that in a location, not just in London but outside London?
But now it's a online. Everything. Everything people can see in online doesn't matter is how far basically.
So that
Is.
is correct. So earlier, for example, because TV, was one of the mediums which could go beyond boundaries. So
Mhm.
Sky TV, for example, or direct to home DTH or cable television allowed consumers to go beyond boundaries or companies to go beyond boundaries to reach new consumers. If
Exactly.
you look at the early 60s, most of the advertising for travel to America and say Europe and Asia, they were very centric to those geographies because there was no way or medium to transmit this across to different consumers.
Mhm.
So television when it came, and then after television, the cable television when it came, most of the companies which had the budgets and the services, they
Mhm.
started to advertise on television. So
Mhm.
television was going from, UK, BBC was broadcasting and it was going to a lot of destination, and they could have been advertising. Sky was broadcasting and advertising was possible. But
Mhm.
now with the advent of internet in the early 90s and,
Mhm.
the late 2000s, when the dot-com bubble burst and the internet had become mainstream, most
Mhm.
companies started to look at advertising on the internet because it allows you to look at advertising or promoting your products and services at a
Mhm.
cheaper way, but it allows you to reach more audiences as
Mhm.
compared to your print,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So this has had implications on pricing. So today,
Mhm.
sitting on a website like Trivago, I'm able to compare so many hotels, so many price points, and that has meant that a lot of these operators have to have very competitive pricing. If they do not have any differentiation in terms of service, if it's a four-star hotel, mostly the prices are pretty much similar. Give or take a few pounds here and there. But yes, if you move from a four-star to a five-star hotel or a five-star to a seven-star hotel, then you can have a jump in pricing. But pretty much apart from that, location and the services that you provide kind of dictate the kind of pricings you can get or fix for your products and services. So internet marketing has also had an effect on, or technology in general through the internet has also had an effect on how you look at products, how do you feel, look and feel and interact with products, how do you can interact with places even before going. And then the promotions have made it possible that consumers today have the ability to be able to decide which place they want, at what price point they want to buy, and whether they want to look at comparing and then buying and things like that.
Mhm.
Is that okay? So a
Yeah.
lot of players in the tourism and travel industry have to now look at pricing policies and pricing strategies. So if there is a festive period or a holiday season coming, they have to look at promoting, packages which allow them to get bookings or customers before as compared to their competition. And a lot of this starts happening even before the holiday season begins. So, for
Mhm.
example, if you know, a lot of tourist operators are already promoting small getaway or holidays during the Easter break, which is happening next month,
Mhm.
because they know they cannot afford to miss out on that. And some part of that has already started with a combination of the promotional mix in terms of advertising on TV, newspapers, and mostly the internet.
Mhm.
Now, there is one concept that we always look at, and I think customers are also conscious of, is price, cost, and value concept, right? Now,
Yes.
price is nothing but which is the actual price of the product set by the supplier. So when you look at the hotel and we look at the website like Trivago, now they're offering this Plaza Spain guest house at 51 pounds.
Mhm.
This is the price which Trivago as a website is advertising. And
Mhm.
in between, you and me clearly know that this is a price which has been set by the supplier. That means the Trivago, in this case, which is supplying the information to us when I'm browsing as a customer, is actually setting this price. But
Mhm.
their price might be lower than 51 pounds because they have to make a profit in the middle, isn't it?
Yes, of course.
So that then becomes the cost. That means the cost at which they are looking at advertising. Either they are charging that particular guest house to make an advert here and place their deal here,
Mhm.
or they are having a fixed price, say, 45 pounds or say 50 pounds, and they're making 1 pound on the booking because
Mhm.
that is their cost price. So their cost price is 50, they're selling it at 51.
51.
And then when you look at comparing, what the customer is looking at getting is the value. So evaluation made by the consumer of the price and the cost set and the features and benefits that you are getting. How do you define value? When sometimes people say it's value for money. Value for money is what you do is you compare the benefits and advantages of the product or disadvantages of the product, and you say, okay, I'm looking at, this is a fair price because I think it gives fair value in terms of these are the things which I was looking at, these things it does not have. But yeah, I think it's a fair price at which they are selling. And if you
Mhm.
want something different and you want all the things to be incorporated, you might go, okay, let's look at an ad hoc example of you're looking at buying a washing machine. Now you
Mhm.
want a washing machine which can wash 8 kgs of clothes, or has more capacity. It can do a quick wash. It can do dry cleaning. Then you are looking at a lot of features, and accordingly the price of the product is there. But when it comes to a point wherein you say, okay, if I have to get all these features in the product, then the washing machine is maybe, say, 450 pound. Now this is way off my budget. Then what you do is you start taking out the things which are not absolutely mandatory, or these were things which are a part of your wish list. For example, I need a tumble dryer, but I don't need something which is dry cleaning. So I can do with dry cleaning. So then when you start moving some of these features out, you see the price tends to fall, and then it matches your budget. And when you say, these are the things which I need, this is a good price that I'm getting, I think I'm looking at value for money, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So that concept of price, cost, value is quite important within the travel and tourism industry as well. So when you try and book a hotel, when you're going out with family, most families would look at that they need to have a swimming pool or a spa or things like that within the hotel when they go for holidays. So they then look at a fair price in terms of the hotel is that, okay, if I was going for a business trip and I'm only going to stay overnight, maybe a room and a 24-hour cafe would be okay as long as the internet access is available. But when you go for a holiday with the family, what you're looking at is finding out things like, okay, if I look at a hotel wherein the breakfast and lunch is included and dinners or meals are included, they have a pool, they also have airport pickup and transfer, then what is the price I'm willing to give? So you look at the concept of price, cost, and value in terms of comparison. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Now, I'm going to basically look at going to the key things that we look at, how internet looks at you can go through some of the stuff in 3 or 4 slides which I've skipped in particular, is because the idea here is to understand how do you interpret the marketing mix from a point of view of technology. How the implementation of the marketing mix is changing with the use of technology. So I could look at people, I could look at place, I could reach a lot of people today by looking at advertising on the internet and using the promotional mix of internet advertising. I can look at physically making my place viewable by looking at a 360-degree virtual tour, even without the customer visiting the destination. So technology, the idea of understanding the marketing mix and its implementation in the first couple of slides is to look at that extrapolation to see how the technology is making it possible and how the marketing mix has changed over the years with the advent of internet in general as a technology. Okay. Now let's look at because we are specifically talking internet in particular, let's look at e-distribution. Now, e-distribution is nothing but electronic distribution, which is basically now becoming a part and parcel of the travel and hospitality industry, right? How does it become a travel and basically a part and parcel of the travel and tourism industries? That there are, let's look at some of the points first. Just go through it and I'll explain. So, increasing number of distribution channel networks that must be managed daily. So today, what is happening is a company like Hilton is advertising their hotels and the place on a lot of platforms, right? When I say platform, the platform is internet. But advertising it on Facebook, they're advertising it on social media, they're also cross-advertising it using Google Ads. They're advertising it through travel operators, which are specifically OTAs or online travel agencies. They're advertising packages with airlines in particular. So if you book a flight from here to Zurich, you also can book a flight with a hotel stay in Hilton in Zurich. You get this point?
Yeah.
So basically, there is a management happening which is required from a point of view of technology, because you're not just advertising on newspaper or 5 different types of newspaper. You're advertising, when you look at that concept of electronic distribution, even internet is a vast medium. So you, at some point in time as a manager, when you plan your campaign of what all platforms you'll advertise on, you will look at creating a campaign wherein you'll say, okay, I'll go on to Facebook, I'll go on to promotional websites, I'll go on to sites like, Trivago, if you're a Hilton hotel. Because you want to make your product available across a different number of channels for customers to be able to buy your products and services. Correct? Now, what does this create? If you were advertising in the olden days just on newspaper, you had only one medium to manage. But because the internet is a complex medium and you're advertising on so many platforms like Facebook, Twitter, look at LinkedIn, for example, other airline websites, comparison websites. You are managing on something called a lot of platforms on the internet, but it then creates something called complexity, because you need to be able to have the same offer across on all platforms, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
You look at standardization. So I can't say that I'm offering, when somebody books a flight in a hotel, I'm offering this room at say £80. But the same customer, when they book a room through say a travel website or a hotel website like Trivago, that room is priced £75. So you need to have the price value concept available, PCV concept available, price cost value concept available, to be able to justify your pricing on that medium. The other things that you look at when you do electronic distribution is you look at which mediums are more responsive. What are the traditional places which customers will look at booking hotels that you need to be there in particular, and you need to be present.
Uh-huh.
And that is where what happens is a manager essentially looks at planning that, you get into, for example, a Facebook campaign. Will it make a sense? Because a Facebook campaign would mean that customers will come in, put in reviews and all that stuff. But if I have to be present and visible in this season of Easter holidays coming in, I think I need to choose the top 5 sites where customers come for booking holidays. So they could be sites like travel operators, which are responsive, like Thomas Cook or, Monarch and things like that, Thompson's. There could be hotels that you have to be present on, hotel sites, right? So what you look at is, as a person, when you have limited budgets, that means you have limited budget to be able to spend on promotion. Electronic medium is also a diverse and a very complex medium. So what you have to do is carefully select the channels wherein you will get the maximum response or returns for your advertising. Or returns is, what is return? So for example, Hilton wants to sell out during the Easter holidays. So they will choose 3 or 4 different good sites on which they know customers come in for booking their holidays or booking their travel. Those are the sites they will prioritize on for advertising, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So some of the other points that we look at in particular is that, when you look at, because of the internet and the complexity of the media, there are lots of platforms within the internet that you can actually look at distribution on or advertising on to promote your product and service. Now, some of these, they need to look at, there is a system called reviews. Have you heard of reviews?
Review,
Look at feedback in particular. Now, feedback is a word which we are all, familiar with, because the moment you stay in a hotel and when you're checking out, they will give you a feedback survey or a feedback form to complete. Now, this used to be something traditional, which most hotels, service industry people used to always ask you, sir, could you give us good feedback or could you leave feedback to us? Now, what has happened is they are not looking at just depending on feedback, and what they look at is they look at reviews. So they ask customers to place a review in terms of how they felt their service and their, delivery was when they looked at using that product. So in electronic medium, on the internet in particular, or e-distribution, one of the key things which allows you to create integrity in terms of quality of service has become something, an important step has become something called reviews. So have you heard of a website called TripAdvisor?
Yeah.
So a lot of people look at TripAdvisor to go and basically look at reviews of the site or the destination they are going to, isn't it?
Yes, there is the review. Because when you book, then you see the review, how the review is good or not, then you book quickly.
That is correct. So here, these are things that we look at, from a point of view of, distribution. Now, there are other factors which also come in. Is, for example, sometimes when you look at a couple of years back, or still now, Greece is an economy, they are in trouble because of devaluation and job losses and things like that. They were in debt, so the European Union had to bail them out. So at some point in time, when travel operators and destinations, they look at advertising, what they do is they choose the markets carefully to be able to advertise in that location, is because if there is uncertainty or crisis in the economy, then they know a lot of customers will actually not book their holidays in that location.
Mhm.
So this also allows companies to use the distribution medium, which is internet in particular, to be able to communicate that information and withdraw their advertising and promotion from those markets because they feel they're not going to get a return on their investment.
Mhm.
So these are things, and electronic distribution in particular can also work with other mediums of distribution. So other mediums of distribution would mean that sometimes you also get messages on your phone or text advertising, which is coming into your phone.
Mhm.
And this also then kind of works in conjunction with internet. So
Mhm.
an example is, a simple example here would be that if you've ordered something from Amazon and say one of the couriers like DPT or TNT is actually delivering to your place, what they tend to do is you will get an email which will come through which will say that your order has been processed, is now onwards to delivery.
Mhm.
But if I extend this, the electronic distribution allows, the system and the technology allows certain operators like DPD and DHL and UPS to also send you a text message saying that the driver is out with the delivery and the delivery will be estimatedly done between this and this time frame.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So these are things which are possible because of the advent of technology within the travel and tourism industry. So, for example, when you book a hotel, if you put your mobile phone in, you also get a text message that you've done a booking for such and such date, and you
The
get a
complement. Yeah.
that is correct. And you get a option where you can add it to your calendar on the phone, that which will add this booking to your calendar on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, it's the Google. I mean, where you book something, it's automatically, if
That is correct.
it's come.
So the concept again of marketing from a definition of e-marketing is that the last decade has seen an explosion of e-marketing spurred by rapid revolution of development of communication technology. So
Mhm.
marketing is also changing is because of the rapid revolution in terms of the telecom. So you had 2G, 3G, today you have 4G, and because of which the internet speeds are available. So if you look at 5 years back or maybe 10 years back when the first iPhone came, it
Mhm.
used to have emails on it, but the emails receiving and sending were very slow when you're out and about. But because that network edge has changed to 4G now, you can instantly get emails on your phone, isn't it?
Yes, we can.
So marketing activity is also changing is because of the fact that communication technology, in particular the telecoms, is now making it possible for you to look at mobile marketing also being integrated into the marketing mix. So when we
Mhm.
look at tourism and destination marketing, and when we look at, in particular, this industry, a lot of people are now looking at the concept of e-marketing, which is basically using telecoms technology, communications technology, and internet as a medium to be able to promote their products and services.
Mhm.
Okay?
Yes.
And again, communication. One of the, you've heard about the 4 C's, customer communication, 4 C's of communication. When we look at the communication is now preceded by e-communication is because electronic and virtual communication is possible, which is, for example, video conferencing that we are doing now for the class.
Yes.
You can
Yes.
do web meetings. You can do, you can leave a voicemail on the phone. You can do instant messaging and email. So all
Uh-huh.
these things have become pervasive now within the hospitality and tourism industry. So you book a hotel and you straight away get an email in your account saying that thank you for your booking and here are the details of the booking that you've
Uh-huh.
done.
Yes.
These are all advances in communication and technology which make it possible now for customers to instantaneously get information when you look at booking a particular holiday.
Uh-huh.
Now, one of the other things that we look at when you look at internet, so internet is quite big. So imagine internet as being something on the top. Now, within the internet, you have different forms of marketing which can happen. So people look at Google AdWords, people look at Facebook, people look at social media, people look at
Mhm.
social media marketing, and there is something called search engine marketing.
Uh-huh.
Search engine marketing is nothing but it's a technique where brands look at helping customers to find the product and services faster when they are looking at the internet. An example here that I would do is if I go to Google
Mhm.
and when I type Google, what I'm going to do is basically here try and find something called, say, say MBA courses. So here I'll find MBA courses. So when I click on MBA courses, now search engine marketing is, there are some of these advertisements that you see which are coming up front. These are called paid searches. You know, this particular search, when you see, is basically nothing but a paid search. This one here.
Okay.
Because they have a word AD next to it. Now, apart from that, underneath that, as you see, there are other searches. So what Google as a search engine is able to do is basically able to pick up a word, MBA, and without getting any more specific details like I want to do part-time, full-time, distance learning, I want to do it with a college, university, it straight away starts throwing you searches which is directly related to one of the keywords, which is Master of Business Administration.
Okay.
So a lot of companies within, when I look at, say, for example, hotels. So when I look at hotels, now hotels has a lot of meanings, but because Google knows that I'm in Manchester, the first thing it shows up on the right-hand side is a sponsored advert, which basically says Midland, and that is a hotel based in Manchester. Can you see that?
Yes, I
Now,
can see that.
that's search engine marketing. So what is happening is a lot of companies are using this as a concept now to help consumers find products faster and quicker. And there is a bit of a race or a competition happening on that side, is because there is money to be made and there is lots of offers and searches available. So what companies try to then do is they try and basically make available these searches, and in some cases they pay for this particular search, and that then becomes something called a premium search. So the hotel is actually paying for it. As you can see, it has an advert next to it. So this is paid promotion to Google, wherein it will help me straight away find a hotel in Manchester, and this is the first one it comes up. Right? So this is also a concept which is currently being used in the context of travel and tourism industries, that if you read this, companies will pay for a premium for this service as it relates to increased sales and the ability to be able to analyze consumer behavior data. Right?
Yeah.
If I take it slightly forward, this particular search, if I take it forward, Google, the search engine in the background, is actually keeping a track of whatever searches I do on my engine, on the browser. And what it tries to then do is that since I'm looking at hotels, just for example, if I look at this hotel, and if I do another search somewhere, it'll start serving me the adverts for hotels only. Because what it tries to guess or feel is that today I'm looking at booking a hotel, and that is why it'll start sending you all the searches which are related to hotels available in Manchester. And this particular service, within the technology pretext that we are studying, a lot of brands and a lot of companies who advertise on the internet regularly will actually pay a premium to be able to come up first on one of the searches, so that they get a chance and increase their probability of the customer booking the hotel first, or looking at their hotel first rather than looking at other competitors.
Okay.
You get that idea?
Yes, I got it.
So let me go to another site, for example. Let me go to, say, I don't want to go to a hotel site, but let me go to, say, EasyJet. When I go to EasyJet, click on that, and basically look at booking a flight. So what you will see is it will give me options to book hotels and associated services. So let's, for example, I'm going on 22nd and I'm coming back on 29, 2 adults, and then show flights. So what it is going to do is it is going to show me the flights, but at some stage when I look at booking the flights, what it will ask me to do is basically also look at the options of, it is getting, say for example, this is, I've not gone to do EasyJet site, sorry, I must have clicked on a sponsored search. So here what it is asking me to do is basically bring the best flights. Let me go to EasyJet's site. This was a bit of a, so here, look at London Gatwick, say to Paris, all airports, and then say departing. I'm departing on 23rd, coming back on 28th, show flights.
Yes.
So as you see, all the associated services underneath that, you know,
Yes.
basically
That.
look, providing you, you can look at cars, you can also go to bookings.com, you can look at EasyJet holidays, and it gives you associated sites wherein you could also look at those destinations, holiday. Do you see that?
Yes,
So this is an example of how consumers will be looking at and how companies will be looking at technology to be able to promote various places on which you can actually book the flights for EasyJet. So a company called booking.com will also have hotels and will also give you the option of flights. And the flights will be from EasyJet, Ryanair, so they're cross-selling. And this is then basically, looking at, if I go to another website, like for example, say Amazon. I want to look at a site wherein, you're able to get parallel offers. So let's look at, say, for example, Outlook email, for example. Just go to the Outlook email and sign in. And you will see that Google will straight away, because it senses my search engine, will actually straight away start sending me AdWords for EasyJet and, other places. So let it populate. We'll come back to this. And in places wherein, you'll be able to see that in some places, like we are using Join Me. So Join Me has no relevance here, but it is advertising Join Me. Can you see here?
Yeah.
So this is an example of search engine marketing, because I'm using my emails, but at this moment it is trying to show me AdWords for Join Me. So somewhere, somehow they know that when I refresh this page, it might change to hotel. They might know clearly that, okay, this is a place wherein the person as of now is looking at doing video conferencing or is looking at, kind of finding a hotel to stay in. And that is where what will happen is it'll start sending me AdWords, which will help me find that service quite quickly. And obviously, it'll give them the priority to be able to advertise their service. And this is something which is called, it's a premium service, which is promoted through the concept of search engine marketing. Last thing that we look at for today is, from a point of view of, communications technology, is viral marketing, Web 2.0. Now, there is a concept called Web 3.0. So basically, it is saying when the internet came out, it was very basic, did not have any pictures, and, it used to be only text, and people used to look at DOS, and there was no Windows, and that was considered Web 1.0, the first version of the internet. Web 2.0 is basically like the second version of the internet, wherein people basically started to use the internet, the features available, lots and lots of people got connected to the internet, had access to internet browsing, the concept of cyber cafes and other things came up. Now we are currently, in Web 3.0, or the third version of the web, wherein web is available everywhere. That means you can get internet on the bus, on the plane, on your phone, on a tablet, on a PC, on a TV, whatever it is. So currently the concept of, advertising, and currently the concept of promotions also involves one of the mix, which is to do, when we look at, promotions, we look at internet or e-distribution. The key concept which is important is a lot of companies now do email marketing, if you've heard of that word, or basically they do newsletters. So you receive newsletters. For example, you are looking at booking a holiday destination and you go to one of the websites. A couple of days down the line, you find they've sent you a newsletter because you keep visiting their website, you've accepted their cookie, and what happens is this email, which basically gives you some promotional offers of that website.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
This is possible because of the concept of viral marketing or Web 3.0.
Okay.
Is that okay? So this is also being used, like if I'm searching for hotels right now, what will tend to happen is that it will send me a lot of links, or show me a lot of offers which are related to something called the similar products that I'm trying to find. And this will happen because the concept of viral marketing or web 3.0 actually come in. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Now let's look at one last thing in terms of the activity. Now, Can you look at evaluating marketing from a context of internet and how hotel companies and travel operators would promote their products and services using internet?
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe let us look at listing a few methods that they will adopt to be able to effectively promote their product and service. So the question is, if you look at reading the slide, what it says is evaluate the marketing that you can find on the internet for hotel companies and travel operators.
Mm-hmm.
In short, what it means is, can you tell me one or two things, one or two ways in which hotel companies and travel operators today are using the internet to market their products and services?
If I say Hilton Hotel, they are using directly their marketing and servicing, okay, through the internet. And
So
also,
internet. So Sajid, what I would suggest you to do is, internet is quite a big medium. So we are talking about technology, so it includes internet everywhere. But within the internet, can you specify two or three channels or platforms on which hotel companies and travel operators will actually advertise to get customers?
you talk about the online site that they use.
That is correct. Yeah. So let's look at two, three sites.
Advisor, hotels.com, booking.com. This is.
That is correct.
Those
That
are
is
the
correct. So you understood the point. Yes, you understood the point. So here, what we are saying is evaluate the marketing. That means how do you look at marketing when you look at hotel companies and travel operators, and how do they use internet to market their rooms or their services to customers? So they might look at hotel sites, they might look at comparison sites as you picked up, they might use search engine marketing, they might use AdWords, and these are various ways they will look at promoting the services and using the medium of internet, but go on to individual platforms to promote their right. And the second thing is, what methods are being adopted? Assess their effectiveness. So this is a subjective question, but I think when we pick up, say for example, if you look at Hilton hotels and they've advertised on Travago for a year, so what they will look at is they will evaluate at some stage how much money they've spent on advertising on that website and how much bookings or how many bookings they've got or customers they've got from that site over the year. Isn't it? So sometimes you do this evaluation, isn't it? So you look at, okay, I've spent so much money on this advertising, I've spent so much money on leafleting, but has the leafleting given me a return on investment? How many customer orders have come in through that particular site or that process of marketing? Isn't it? And what you do is, while you're looking at this, you're looking at trying to, at the end, find out the effectiveness of that medium. Is that worthwhile to advertise again for a year if it has not given you return on investment? That means if it only has given you 50 or 60 bookings and you were expecting 5,000, then obviously you will say that I need to look at this site is because this site has not given me any bookings. Customer only come in to do comparison and I don't get any customers. So you might decide as a manager that I don't need to advertise on Travago next year. I might need to choose a different platform. Correct?
Yes, it's good.
So that's the idea. So what we're looking at is the usage of technology, which is distribution, internet, and communication, to understand how this is now helping the travel and tourism industry to effectively market their product and services to consumers, across the globe. Is that okay?
Yes, they're okay.
Okay, good stuff. So that is where what we are going to do is today end the session, and what I'm going to do is this particular presentation is available on Moodle. I'm going to send you an email, and I'm going to send you a handout which will give you a bit more detail to be able to read through on the learning outcome 3 that we have covered today.
Okay, thank you.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
If you have any question, then feel free to send me an email.
I will read, and then if I feel any difficulties, of course, I'll send you an email.
That is fine. That is fine.
Okay. And I have one question, because I can do the class, I can study, but to writing the assignment is taking more time. I don't know when I will be finished. I'm feeling a little concerned about it. I don't know, seriously.
See, what I'm going to do is, last time, like I sent you the email, I'm going to try and send you the exact, Word documents that you have to read. And those Word documents, when I send you, those are handouts for each individual tasks. Like last time when I sent you the handout, it basically said this is for 3.1, this is for 2.1, this is for 1.1. You've asked me specifically, isn't it?
Yes.
So if you send me a specific email of where you are struggling, then I will send you handouts.
Okay.
You look at reading that, paraphrase it, and find similar examples of it, and then put it in your assignment, and put it in your task, which will cover your task for that assignment. Is that okay?
Yes. Do you mind to tell me? I mean, when exactly I have to submit all the assignment?
If you ask me, we are currently, this is the third, I think, unit or fourth unit we are looking at completing. So my suggestion would be, we will continue teaching till, I would say, till the 31st or the 3rd of April, and then break for the Easter, which is 3rd to the 14th, in which you should sit down and only concentrate on doing the assignments for the units which have been done. Okay, that is what I would kind of suggest you. Because then in that case, you need to ask me specific questions. Okay, I'm not understanding contemporary issues in marketing, so please send me a handout for that. So I'll send you a handout for that straight away.
Okay.
And the other thing, what I would encourage you to do is, if you're struggling, say for example, now to find, struggling to write the assignment, my suggestion is to also do search on the internet, right now, and then try and cut and paste that task into the assignment brief. So one of the things is, like, you want to look at, for example, what are the, in the task, for example, this is a direct task. It says, explain the role of management information systems in the industry, travel and tourism industry. Okay. So try and find the information from the internet and then create a draft document by putting it into your Word document. So open a Word document, try and find information about it and put it down into the Word document for now. And that will become a working document for you.
Okay. Thank
At
you very
least
much for your information.
idea that, okay, this is what is required to be done and this is what I'm doing. And then you read it, and then when you start finalizing the assignment, the draft is ready, you have all the material for the task. What you need to then do is paraphrase, include citations, Harvard reference it, so that the assignment then becomes, something which is a final document.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
Yes, I understand.
I think that's the first way of looking at, starting to write the assignment, because everybody is not an expert. Even if you ask me, if I have to start writing an assignment, I will not be an expert either. So what I do is I will do a bit of search, do a bit of study on the book, and look at some of the presentations that we have gone through. And what I will do is I will write down the key points which are related to that task directly. And once I've written those key points down, then I follow a pattern which is called theory, practice, and example. So role of management information systems. So first thing what I'll do is define what is management information system, definition. Once I've done the definition of management information system, then I will include things like types of management information system used in travel and hospitality industry or organization. So type of management information system used in hospitality industries, Abacus, for example, a booking system used by hotel industry. We look at researching other systems which the systems used for ticketing industry, for example. And we'll cover one or two of them in briefly. So one of the management information systems used in the hotel industry is Abacus, which is used for booking hotels and booking of room management. And you talk about it slightly in a bit more detail, so 1 or 2 paragraphs. So what you've done is you're trying to explain the role. Explain of the role is the definition of MIS. Then you've taken an example of MIS used in the industry. And then towards the end, you give an example that, okay, this version of the system is currently used by Hilton hotels across its chain of hotels to be able to manage booking centrally. Example. Okay. So this covers your task. Okay?
Yes.
So basically, for every task that I look at, what I have to do is completely break it down. Forget the English jargon. Leave explain, leave all that stuff. It talks about impact Forget all this. It says impact of technological change on historical developments. So here, basically, what it is asking me to define is what are the developments happening in the industry, and it is asking you historical developments. So what I will do is I will look at first talking about how the evolution of travel and tourism industry has happened from a point of view of technology. So here, if you look at my last presentation, we have defined how industry is evolved. You know, there are 3 or 4 slides which is like on a timeline talk about the technology change which is happening. So like Web 1.0, Web 2.0, Web 3.0. So what we are doing is defining. I will start with an introduction saying what is technological change and how it is happening in the industry. So over the years, the travel and tourism industry has evolved, and because of the advent of technology, which can be seen in communication, telecommunication, and in general marketing, the industry is changing over a point in time. There are different technological changes which have happened, which have impacted the industry. One of the change that I'm going to discuss is the change which has happened because of the advent of telecommunication and internet as a technology. Historically, most companies were looking at advertising, and promoting their products to consumers using traditional mediums of advertising and promotion. They included print, newspaper, and radio. But with the advent of internet, what has happened is that the availability of broadband and internet on mobile phones, tablet, and across the medium has made it easier for companies to reach customers using the medium of internet. So this is an introduction that you've given. Now, what is the impact it is creating? The impact that it is creating is that it has become easy to reach out to consumers. Technology, internet as a medium is quite cheaper as compared to print advertising and TV advertising. The ability for the customer to be able to do complete interaction with the internet, because you have 360-degree view and things like that, you might be able to explain this. And then towards the end, what you do is you put some timeline, maybe a draw table. And in that table, what you do is you say 1990s, maybe 3-4 points you put, 2000, 3-4 points you put, and then 2015 and beyond, you put 1-2 points. That these are changes which are happening. So this is how you will cover each task. So my suggestion is, when I read a task, what I do is I delete all the English words or jargons. So if I look at this task, what it is asking me to do is, it is asking me to talk about technological developments. Correct? So if I define what is contemporary technological development, I will understand what the task is asking me to do. And then what you do is you take it forward by explaining a bit of theory, which is definition and maybe an introduction, and then do a practice. That means you explain how technological developments are happening in the industry. And then towards the end, give an example. Because evaluation means you have to evaluate. Evaluate means you have to show positives and negatives. And that evaluation, when you show positive and negative, and towards the end, explain with an example, covers this task. Okay? So what I would suggest is, you have to get down to writing the assignment. And writing the assignment would mean that you look at maybe doing a bit of search and read the book, relevant context and pages that I ask you to read, and those will give you the starting points to be able to write the assignment. So what you have to do is bring those points into the assignment straight away.
Okay.
Start looking at the tasks and then pick up the keywords which are talking about to you what is the task is asking for. So here it is asking for role of global distributing systems. That is it. And that is what you have to look at. So what is global distribution system? Define that, give an example, and then talk about how they are helping, say hotel industry to distribute their product, which is rooms, across the globe. Okay?
Yep.
Is that clear enough?
Yes, it is clear.
So
just
I think
I just need more time to do the.
I understand that. I think what my suggestion to you is, you have to sit down and now start looking at each of the tasks, and then task by task, maybe look at a bit of Google search, find the relevant material, put it onto Word document.
Okay.
So for example, here, global lead distribution system, what I will do is I'll copy this, go onto the internet, and literally put this into the Google. So Amadeus is another system which
Even put in draft, you mean just write by myself the same context.
absolutely. So what is GDS? Global Distribution System. One of the softwares is you look at Abacus, and the other is Amadeus. So Amadeus basically is a system which is used by hotel industry for booking primarily. It says what is, it says role and value of global distribution system, importance of global distribution system. So go to Wikipedia, look at global distribution system, and then here it will give you an understanding of network operated by companies enable automatic transactions between travel and service operators, and that is the definition. Pick it up, copy this. So what I'm going to do is open a Word document, for example, the task which is there, copy the full task. But I'm trying to develop a draft. First is you need to have a working document, because you need to know and have the basic knowledge. Now this is something which we have not covered. Task 2.2, LO2 we have not covered so far. So this is what we are going to cover next time, because I have a second presentation that I've not gone through today because of time. So what I will do is I'll open a blank document. I open a document, put the task down, paste the task here. This is say 2.2. And then, because I've found the definition of global system, what I'm going to do is put it up and put it here as it is. So you're developing now. Now it says explain the role. So what I'm going to do is read it further. Now computer reservation systems. When you look at booking for railway tickets, so it is explaining the role, and it is talking about how it is helping to shape the travel and tourism industry. So what I need to do now is find an example of GDS within the travel and tourism industry. So again, go back to Google, and what I will do is, or the book that I have on these, on this particular thing, why is it important in travel industry? So I'm going to read this article, and here it will tell me basic things about, why and what is the role of these systems. Systems like Galileo, Apollo, WorldSpam, Amadeus, Sabre, they are all systems used within the industry. Can you see this?
Yes, I can.
So these things is what I will do is I will put this up, and what I'm going to do is put it here in the Word document. This has now become a working document for you, but because you're copying and pasting from a lot of sources and this is not your own work, what you need to then do is basically read this and start to paraphrase and write it in your own words. And wherever you're picking up definitions and concepts which are provided by authors or people who have done research on this, you are going to cite and reference that.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes, I do.
That is how you will start to do the first step. If you haven't done academic writing maybe in a number of years, and you're finding it difficult and you're getting afraid that how do I start, this is how you will make a start. There is no other way.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and once you have this as a document, working document available, then what you will do is you can dip into the presentations that I've given you, wherein all these things are also available. The definitions are available, the handouts will be provided to you, and what you have to do is start writing it academically then. So that it is something which you are producing and you're not copying and pasting from the internet.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
I think that's the only guidance that I can give you in the very basic sense of how you need to look at, some of the things.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So Sajid, thank you for joining this session today. And what I'm going to do is send you an email and the presentation and some handouts related to today's topic, which you can look at. Then if you have questions.
And I have one more question. This month, 30